Good morning, Magic players. Welcome to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic the Gathering. You want to be part of the discussion? Get your questions queued up and let's have a great conversation this morning. And also, we do Decklist reviews. So, if you have a 75 that you'd like some feedback on, or if you'd like to show off a spicy brew, yes, please bring it and share it with the community. Both myself and the community would love to give feedback on it. So, brew up your cup of coffees and let's brew up some magic. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for March 22nd, 2021. I am your host, Nikachu, the Merfolk Master. And let's have a wonderful morning, everyone. Good morning, MTG Ectoplasm. You're welcome. MTG Ectoplasm, also a content creator making podcasts on spirits. Follow MTG Ectoplasm on Spotify, and I'm not exactly sure where else. I just remember I was listening to the Ethervile podcast on Spotify, MTG Ectoplasm, for that spirit fam, the spirits community. Well, one thing that helped the Merfolk community a lot when I started playing Merfolk is a lot of other people started making Merfolk content. So there was like there was a wide variety of content creators helping the Merfolk community, and you know that helps an archetype a lot. Everyone's got, if you love your archetype, maybe make some content on it. Share your wisdom with everybody else. Helps everybody grow. Good morning, Jack. Good morning, MTG Box. I feel like people are a little bit slow to joining the stream this morning. Maybe they didn't expect that I'd be up this early, on more or less on time. Cactus Vishma, good morning. Good morning, Stephen Herman. We are here. That is right. So, oh man, can I find the tweet? There was like a big like modern event over the last weekend. I think it was on Saturday, and the big news is that Control wasn't even in like the top 32. There was one Control deck, Aspiring Spike, did make it deep with Jeskai. Of all the Control decks, Jeskai Control, but he knows how to make Jeskai better than anybody else. And it's just loaded with like Shadow and Amulet and like Jund Shadow, regular Jund. So, I mean, seems to be the metagame that we're going to be shaping up for. And to be honest, like when I'm playing in the leagues, I see a lot of Control. In fact, Control is maybe the one archetype I see more than anything else. But then when it comes to a big open event, they seem to have trouble making the top 32. It's not like they aren't being represented. It's just that they're just not pushing through. What do they have to do to compete with, Amulet and stuff like that? And remember, Amulet didn't go away. People were a little shy to be playing Amulet when it got Field of the Dead banned, but then once after somebody won a tournament, everyone's like, well, yeah, Amulet was always good. Amulet was always good. It always happens. Like, a card gets banned, people stop playing it for like almost immediately. Someone makes some result. Oh, it is still good. Okay, let's go back. They overestimate the banning of cards. Anyone ready for the disappointment or horror from Strixhaven power level? I'm always excited to see powerful cards. I know I'm in the minority. I know I'm in the minority. There's a lot of people who are like, well, I mean, I understand nobody really likes stuff getting shaken up. People they like to invest in their 75 and they don't want to change it, because if the format gets shaken up, you got to change it. You got to exchange cards. You got to buy new cards. And, so there are a lot of problems in that arena. I don't mind changing cards. I got everything in my toolbox, and I sort of understand it now from a price point. Let's say you only had like $450 to buy cards, and you burned all your money on I don't know, say a Death and Taxes deck, $450. And then they come out with Giver of Runes. And let's say, I don't know what Giver of Runes costs right now. Let's go look it up. But let's say you need Giver of Runes. And let's say it's a chase card. Everyone needs Giver of Runes. So according to this, $8, $8 US. Not the most free thing. I mean, that's 32 at US dollars. That might be a lot of money for somebody. And like, if you have to upgrade your deck with this card, that might be a problem for some people. That is a problem. I never thought about all the ramifications of what happens when a format gets shaken up. I mean, no matter what, you're going to have to change up cards. Do you have the knowledge to change it up? Will the people who are piloting that deck, you're learning from them on streams or YouTube, are they going to still play that deck? They might not anymore. Now you're stranded with a deck that is not being led by anybody. I mean, there's a lot of problems when the format gets shaken up. A lot of problems. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Donald Davidson. Good morning, Aztec Guy. Morning, Steven. Good morning to Nikachu and the Fish Fam. Thought I had a few more minutes. Nope. I came on time. Is there a new Nikachu? Probably not. Most definitely not. Good morning, Alfred James. Good morning, Doom King Ray. All right, everyone, you know how it works. 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question helps me find your questions amongst all the comments. Or if you're on YouTube, you can cheat with the super chats. Donate, make a donation, and your chat gets put, your question gets pushed up amongst all the comments. Although, again, fair warning, donations under $3. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I don't know what it is. I contacted StreamYards about it. They said it's a YouTube problem. I don't know what it is. It will get highlighted in chat, but I won't get a notification. That's the only problem. There was a big legacy event on Magic the Gathering Online recently. I think there was a big event for all the formats. Except I'm not following enough of the legacy aficionados, the legacy specialists and masters to know exactly what happened in Legacy over this weekend. Should take another sip of my delicious coffee. Delicious. Ooh, delicious, delicious. How's the water for fish nowadays? Hostile. It's pretty hostile. If I were to say it, there's a lot of shitty matchups, and yeah, just a lot of shitty matchups. And I want Master of Waves for a lot of these matchups, but then I play against Jund and they just play Plague Engineer and remind me why Master of Waves is meaningless. Good morning, Hot Cold Man. Okay. There was a big legacy event on Magic the Gathering Online recently. The diversity was incredible. First repeat deck was Elves at 9th. Oh, you mean their Elves was at 1st place and 9th place? That's totally reasonable. Elves is a super powerful deck in Legacy, and one of its greatest benefits is it crushes Delver. You would think Delver would be good against it. No, they just have way too many threats, and now they got this Allosaurus Shepherd card. It's just busted. I spelled this right? I did. Look at this! Look at this! What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm surprised it's not a 3/3 creature. 1 mana. Shepherd can't be countered. Okay. Green spells you control can't be countered either. So everything you play green can't be countered. Okay. We're not done yet. It's also a mana sink. 6 mana until end of turn. Each elf creature you control has base power and toughness 5/5 and becomes a dinosaur in addition to its other types. Did they think about stopping at any point? Did they, maybe we don't need this last ability on it. Maybe we could have some flavor text. No, they just jammed it. I mean, this is good early game, good late game. It's a completely fucking busted card. And just if the Elves matchup wasn't bad already, it's now definitely the nails are in the coffin. Ben Golan, good morning. In middle school, about to head to class. Just wanted to say, love the channel. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate it. We're going to keep up the good work. Good morning, Chris. Where are the questions? Hot Cold Man, do you like/follow the lore of Magic for each set? Not at all. I have no idea what's going on with the lore. I mean, when it comes to I have no idea what's happening. I'm definitely the last person to ever ask about any of this stuff. I don't know why Jace somehow got stranded on Ixalan and was just by himself on an island. Did he lose his power or something? Can't they planeswalk? How are you marooned? How is any planeswalker marooned? I don't get it. But whatever. I don't follow any of this stuff. I have no idea how Emrakul got to the point where she is. So do we know how long until for the first Strixhaven spoilers are? We might know, but I don't know. Maybe I can do a quick Google search. Strixhaven spoiler date or something like that. It's got to be close, right? Here, follow the internet with me. We're on the internet, people. The internet. Strixhaven spoiler. Okay, the release date is on April. Isn't it a month in advance? So it should be I would assume really soon. I mean, it's the 22nd today. If the release date is on the April 23rd, I would assume very, very soon. Maybe someone has some answers. Maybe not. But I would assume it's really, really soon. So NYC Does Stuff says Wednesday. Makes sense to me. Because I usually the spoilers are about a month in advance, and if the release date is on the 23rd of April, then that makes a bit of sense. They'll talk about it on live stream on the 25th. Gotcha. Wednesday. Awesome. David asks, I would really love to see Pernicious Deed in Modern Horizons 2. Do you think it would be okay? It would, but didn't we have a Pernicious Deed? Did they not create one just recently? I swear they made like a reprint of Pernicious Deed. It was like, wasn't it the wolf? Isn't that wolf? Like, if I look up wolf, can I find it? Probably not. I don't remember what this wolf is called. What's a wolfie called? There's a Pernicious Deed wolf. Serolf. Who needs Modern Horizons when like just the regular sets are busted? I mean, Eldraine was busted. War of the Spark debatably was more I don't know. I want to say more powerful, but it was a pretty powerful set in itself. So I mean, we have Serolf here, which is fucking close. Whenever a permanent opponent controls his potential graveyard from the battlefield, but whatever, who cares about that? Beginning of your upkeep, if Serolf has one or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may remove all of them. If you do, exile each other non-land permanent with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of counters removed this way. But isn't there another one? I can't remember. But whatever. I mean, anything is possible. They like to give those throwbacks. Collective Brutality still any good in Modern? I would say so. I mean, I still think there's a decent chunk of... I mean, it's worse, obviously. It's not going to do that great against Titan. And by not that great, I mean, it's useless. It's not good against Shadow. It's not good against Jund. It's awkward versus, like, Hammer Time. You know what? You're making me think about it. I don't think it's that good right now. It's probably not that good. I mean, there is Burn in Prowess, but Prowess is even also dubious because they could, in response to you trying to kill their creature, they just play a random spell and boom, it's out of range of dying. But anyway, so yeah, maybe very poorly positioned right now. Do you think Scourge of the Skyclaves is overrated? No, I think it might be underrated. I actually think it's underrated. I don't think people have unlocked the true power of Scourge of the Skyclaves. So there was one Grixis Shadow list. I can't find it right now. One Grixis Shadow list won the Modern Challenge over the weekend. It played Delver of Secrets in the main deck. Delver of Secrets. And the point, like just the main point of Delver of Secrets was just to get in that 1 point of damage early on in the game so that you can play Scourge of the Skyclaves on turn 2. So, I mean, if you can go 1-drop, follow it up with Scourge of the Skyclaves, like, you're in good shape. I don't know if I agree with the Delver of Secrets. I think it's, if you're playing Grixis, just play Swift Spear. Like, isn't Swift Spear just superior? You get in that immediate damage. It's just better. In my opinion, it's just better than Delver, period. It's just a much better card, at least in Modern. Doesn't require flipping or anything like that. But I don't think people have completely But the point is that one Delver turned on Scourge of the Skyclaves for Grixis Shadow, and Shadow couldn't make Skyclaves work. Let's get Scourge of the Skyclaves. So, like, players did try to make Scourge of the Skyclaves work in Grixis Shadow, but it just failed because they can't. It's just too clunky. They can't get their opponent's life total low enough early enough. But lo and behold, if we play with Delver of Secrets in the main and at least get in chip in for 1 damage turn 2, Scourge of the Skyclaves is already online. Speaking of Scourge of the Skyclaves, Jund Shadow is the second most played deck right now. I don't know about second most played deck. You could say it's the second most successful deck played. And like, whenever you see results on MTG Goldfish or MTG Top 8 or any of that, that is not the metagame. That is the winning metagame. That is what is winning. But there could be, in theory, like a million burn decks that are just losing, but there's so many of them. And for example, right now, Control is not particularly winning right now, but I think there is a lot of Control out in the metagame, and if you were to ignore Control, you might be in a lot of trouble. That is not represented in the meta numbers. You always got to remember those stats that you see. That's just what is winning, but is not representative of like the overall metagame. Just keep that in mind. I still like to use those stats because if you want to win a big tournament, you do have to beat the decks that are winning. But you know, you always have to know in the back of the mind that you can play against anything. Where did I go? Antonin, is Twiddle Storm good enough to compete in Modern? I'm gonna say yes, but you'd have to sell me on why it's better than regular Storm. You know, so it's like you might be just playing an inferior deck. You'd have to really sell me on it that it's a much better one. Sean Wallace asks, what do you think is the best way to build goblins in Modern? Probably by default, you should play the combo version. And you need to be able to be a mix of like that. There's two versions of goblins as far as I'm concerned. There's a version of goblins where you're playing the conspicuous new Bogart Harbinger into like Kiki Jiki Sling Gang Commander. And you can either support that with a lot of creatures, or you can support that with a lot of interaction. So I've seen versions with like a lot of like Tar Fires and Thoughtseize Inquisition to rip apart the opponent's hand so that you can set up the combo and kill. So I think those are the or you can just have like a million creatures. You got your munitions experts and all that other stuff. I think that is both are very viable. But I think the best way is probably with the combo kill, because you just get free wins and you just hope that the metagame doesn't have Plague Engineers or Lava Darts and you just crush everybody. The price of Shepherd is actual. What the fuck? Let's go back. I didn't even notice. I forgot. I think whoa! You see? Price represented by the power. $135 for this card. I mean, look at it. Like, how do you... It's so stupid. This is a ridiculous card. Expect to find it in the next, like, master set, though. Expect to see it in the next master set. What deck archetype do you want to be more viable? Merfolk. That's the one I want to be more viable. Will Pioneer come back to life once game stores open? And yes. And when the game stores open and Wizards follows it up with like Pioneer GP to like that would be coming up, that's when Pioneer will make a big comeback. Not to mention they're going to make Mythic Championships around Pioneer, so not a big deal. It's going to be back. Strixhaven spoilers begin next week. Yeah, somewhere around there. What is your favorite type of card sleeve? The old KMCs. That's my favorite type of card sleeve. I haven't bought them in a long time, but the old ones were my favorite. And maybe the formula is still good, but it's hard for me to find KMCs because like the consumer confidence in the brand is lost. What made it good is that it had a good shuffle feel. That's what I liked the most about it. It had a good shuffle feel. It was real. They were really soft, and they were soft, but not too soft that they sort of stick together. If you know what I mean. There are some sleeves that are like it just felt smooth to shuffle. Like I have a lot of these Dragon Shields that it's rough. I mean the texture is just rough. I mean the sleeve is fine. I use it right now, but I can't say I'm in love with it. Can't say I'm in love with it. I'm trying to build a reanimator around Trash for Treasure. Any really good targets you can think of to reanimate? I think this is a good one for the community. Trash for Treasure, people. What are good reanimator targets? Oh, as an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice an artifact. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I mean, if Blight, Steel, Colossus. Blightsteel Colossus has got to be one of them. Maybe Platinum Empyrean? I think these are the two biggest payoffs. Like this one will kill your opponent, right? Trample, Infect, Indestructible. Oh, but the problem is, no, it will get shuffled. Oh, shit. Is this instant speed? It's sorcery speed. It won't work. Okay, so this doesn't work. I guess it's just Platinum Empyrean and Platinum Angel. Bolus's Citadel? Okay, so hold on. I'll look up Blight. Yeah, Blightsteel won't work. Oh, it can go to the graveyard. It just won't stay there. It will touch the graveyard. Or does it touch the graveyard? If it would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal it. Oh, so maybe it doesn't actually hit the graveyard. Okay. I think Platinum. I think Platinum Angel might be like a payoff. You can't lose the game, your opponent can't win the game. Sundering Titan is a good one. 8 mana whenever it enters the battlefield or leaves the battlefield. Choose a land of each basic land type and destroy those lands. I mean, so against the against a 3-color deck, you wipe them out. Not very useful against monocolor decks, but a pretty big creature nonetheless. Oh, Wormcoil, yeah, this is simple stuff. This is good stuff. Wormcoil Engine. 6/6 lifelink death touch. You destroy it, you get 3/3s of each one. Whoops. I guess I could. KMC sleeves went to shit for a few years. They listened to the consumers and went back to the old formula. KMC sleeves are good again, but Dragon Shields took a lot of their market share. I agree. Like, so much so, my local game store, at all of them, they don't sell KMCs. They just don't. They're like, no, that's a toxic asset. Bolus? Okay, Bolus is Citadel. Bolus, I think it has to be Bolus's Citadel. Yeah, it's an artifact. You can look at the top card of your library any time. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost. I don't know if this is that great, though. Sacrifice 10 land permanents. I don't know if that's a good payoff. I guess Ensnaring Bridge is okay. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Those are some good payoffs. Too bad Blight still didn't work. They knew it'd be a reanimator target. If you could create a Magic format, how would it be? It would be modern, but either in singleton format, or you can only play 2x of every card. I want to reduce the consistency of every deck, and I think that reduces the power level of every individual card. I think that makes a big deal. Keenan Griffith, do you think with the current metagame in Modern, decks that normally run Birds of Paradise should switch to either Arboreal Grazer or Utopia Sprawl? I think it'd be very fair to choose Utopia Sprawl. Utopia Sprawl is seeing more play than ever before, because it guarantees you it's today's version of a Mana Dork. This really puts into perspective how much removal there is in this format. Like, it is so bad to play like Birds of Paradise and then it gets sniped off by like a gut shot or a lava dart. Like, that is just shit. That just sucks so much. So Utopia Sprawl is just a way of guaranteeing you get a 3-drop in play by turn 2. And and we play Arbor Elf in a lot of those decks. Oops. Because the payoff is there. I mean, the opportunity to get a 4-drop by turn 2 is so good that you're willing to play Arbor Elf occasionally and get screwed over by letting the Arbor Elf die. But like, this is so common now. And then of course, you know, there is a Boreal Grazer. That's like the Mox Diamond of today, right? Arboreal Grazer. 0/3 reach, really good on defense, and also ramps you up. So this is totally fine as well. It's good stuff. Mango Hub, what non-tribal deck do you want to see more supported? Non-tribal? I sort of want to see Slivers more supported. Like, they're getting supported, I don't know if it's meaningful enough. A lot of the good Sliver cards require mana to activate. That's not good. Like, I was thinking about it. There are some great cards out there, but they always require mana to activate. Like, you got to spend mana when it dies. You got to spend mana when it enters the battlefield. Like, that's not good in Modern. The best Modern decks are not spending mana for their just ETB. This thing does something. The only exception is maybe Walking Ballista. Why Magic the Gathering Online results are not updating? Because there's something broken. They are aware of it. They're trying to fix it. Something's broken. Busted asks, any way for Loam Assault to hold up in Modern? I don't know what this card is. Sorry about that. Unless this is a name of a deck that I'm not familiar with. Speaking of Scourge, I answered that one earlier. Sniper Blast. Would Force of Despair be a good option against decks like Combo Goblins? I wouldn't say so, because you might kill the creatures that just enter the battlefield. But I mean, like, in response to getting Sling Gang Commander, I guess that's possible. It's just not that great. You might as well just play Kozilek's Return at instant speed, in my opinion. I mean, I know you have to pay mana, but, like, Force of Despair is just... You know, maybe I'm underrating Force of Despair. Maybe everyone's underrating it. The problem is, I mean, quite literally, like in the title, you only want to play it in a moment where you are in trouble. Like, you can't proactively play this card very well. Destroy all creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. Like, it's sort of like maybe a better card when you're losing than when you're, like, ahead or equal. You know what I mean? You top decking this is useless. Whereas if you top deck something like Kozilek's Return, this card can be good when you are losing, but also can be good when you're when you're equal. So you kill off all your opponent's creatures, yours don't die, then you attack for the win. And then it can also be used proactively. So, like, when you're winning, you play this card if your opponent starts getting any sort of steam going on the battlefield, and you really lock their fate. So, I mean, this card is good in all situations. Force of Despair, also 2-for-1 for, like, in dire spots. So I'm not really a fan of that card. That's why it doesn't really see much play right now. If you want to tune Esper Control to fight against red-green Ponza, what do you suggest for the sideboard? Save that question for Friday. We're going to have the Esper Control Master on the channel. We're going to get TSP Yendrick to answer all your Esper questions. So stay tight. Friday's coming up. We're going to have a great interview with TSP Yendrick. Do you feel Blue Moon might be one of the best control decks in today's meta? Not necessarily. I don't know if Blood Moon is super well positioned. It's okay. It's okay, but I don't know if it's super well positioned. Because there's a lot of red base. Like, a lot of the decks that are winning right now are very red based or monocolor. That's not good. You'd prefer it's like mostly like Esper, Bant, stuff like that. I think Blood Moon's time in the sun is it's moving down at the moment. How bad will Shepherd be in Modern after they printed in Modern Horizons 2? That's a good question. I think it's going to be more balanced than you would think. Like, counterspells don't rule Modern right now for the most part. Counterspells in Modern suck. They're not very good. They're only good against combo decks, and I don't think that was really how they beat Elves in the first place. Maybe it is. Like, maybe it's good because they had to counterspell just the important creatures. They couldn't counterspell the earlier creatures, but they can counterspell things like Collected Company, for example. So maybe it is going to be a lot better than I think if they print it into Modern. But it's still a small creature, and there's a lot of removal. So it's a very different format. It's just a very different format. I don't think it'll be it'll be powerful in Modern, but it won't be nearly as powerful as it is in Legacy. If you would ban one card in Modern based on a power level, what would it be? If I were to base on power level, maybe Swift Spear. I think that card is way more powerful than people realize. I think Swift Spear is far more dangerous. Maybe it's a weird one to choose, but I think the prowess creatures are proving to be, like, way better than we anticipated. And now that, like, maybe this is the glue that was holding Burn together the entire time. Like, they have Goblin Guide, they have Eidolon, but maybe it wasn't until they have Swift Spear. They had, like, a really good one drop that really made a difference. Like, these prowess creatures are really, really strong. And now there are decks based around them because they're so damn strong. And they're very powerful. They're very, very powerful. One thing that might make them powerful is just the 2 toughness. If it started off as a 1/1 like Sprite Dragon, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. It's a weird card for me to name. Oh, I'm just going to leave it at that. Weird card to name, though. But of course, I'm not in charge of the ban list. Or am I? Thoughts on Mono Red? I get this question like I don't know what you're talking about. Mono Red, it's awesome. Play Blood Moon and everything. He's got to be more specific what Mono Red is. What anti-Tron sideboard do you recommend before lockdown? I played against Tron 4 out of 5 rounds at the last event I went to before lockdown. I am in black-red. You mean, okay, so you're a black-red mid-range? You might be... Well, you're not doing great. Okay, I guess you could start with Fulminator Mage. That would help. You don't have a good matchup, obviously. You're a slow deck. You don't have a good clock. You need to be a little bit faster. I mean, maybe something that would help you is to go Shadow. If you go Black-Red Prowess Shadow, that would be probably your best bet to beating Tron, so that you can at least Goldfish race them before they get Tron and kill you. But that's probably the best thing you can do. I'm just like basing on what little information you're giving me. It's a bad matchup. It's just a bad matchup. You can't use things like Damping Sphere because you have if you're like mid range, you just don't have a good clock to make Damping Sphere work. So you have to destroy the lands. So you might want a combination of Fulminator Mage and Field of Ruin as your Cleansing Wildfire. Cleansing Wildfire is a good card. This is a great card. I keep forgetting about this card. This is a very good card. You can run this one as well. I think those are your best bets. Did you know there is no core set this year? It's supposed to be D&D Adventures in the Forgotten Realm. Maybe I knew before and I totally forgot about it. That's totally fine. They did that before. Dominaria was the core set for 1 year. They took away core sets. They brought it back. They can do whatever they want. It does the same thing. They just print cards. KMC was the best. They changed the formula and turned to crap. The KMC USA sleeves are identical to the originals. Well worth it. If they are identical, I would go back. I might even go to the States, buy a shitload of them, bring them back home to Canada. Get a case. What can Jund and other mid-range decks side against Tron? I think I answered that question. Cleansing Wildfire and Fulminator Mage. Well, Jund is different. You have access to Assassin's Trophy. Assassin's Trophy goes a long way. Because you just need to slow them down and then kill them quickly with a Tarmogoyf or something. So Cleansing Wildfire and Assassin's Trophy can go a long way against those matchups. Did I get any tiny donations? No. Any suggestions for Sky Swallower Mystic Forbidden Orchard combo? I have nothing. Sorry. I don't know. I don't even know what the deck looks like. Walter says, wait, if I'm milling and mill out a deck that has a Blightsteel in it, that card will keep jumping back into the library repeatedly, leaving one card? Yes, that's correct. So that is a counter to mill. Because it's the same thing with, what's it called? What's the name of the card? What's the green card that everyone's using? You can use Emrakul, you can use Blightsteel, but there is a particular green card that I'm finding in people's sideboards these days. Because it has some, practical use outside of just being shuffled back into the deck. Help me, people. I know you're on, a 10-minute delay, but please. Gaia's Blessing, that's what it is. Gaia's Blessing? I don't know how to pronounce these words. So this is sometimes found as a one of in people's sideboards to counter mill. Sounds like you just picked up mill as a deck. So but this is why you play with things like Expertate and Surgical Extraction, so that the moment, I guess it does hit the graveyard, right? No, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Is Blightsteel different from this? Because this is when Gaia's Blessing is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, shuffle your graveyard into your library. So you have the opportunity, because a trigger will go on the stack. You have an opportunity to Expertate and Surgical Extract this. But what about Blightsteel? Colossus. It says, if it would be put into the graveyard from anywhere, reveal Blightsteel Colossus and shuffle into its owner's library instead. So you just don't get an option here? Is there just no trigger? Do I understand this correctly? It looks like Blightsteel does not hit the graveyard, if I'm reading this correctly. I've never actually... Well, I mean, I've never milled a Blightsteel Colossus in the graveyard, so I've never seen the interaction happen. Yeah, so it's a replacement effect. So Nexus of Fate also just never hits the graveyard. So this beats Surgical Extraction is what I'm getting at. Okay, so you have... Yeah, mill is just effed by Blightsteel Colossus. You have to... I don't know what to do about it. How does Mill beat Blightsteel Colossus if they can beat it at all? Hope the opponent draws the card? I mean, I guess that's the thing. You mill your opponent's deck out to nothing. They draw Blightsteel Colossus, and then you... I guess they have one more turn, right? You can't mill them at one at a time, but if you mill your last spell, mills 3, for example, do they lose? No, they have to draw a card. You don't lose... Interesting thing about Magic, you don't lose the game for having no cards in your deck. You lose the game when you draw a card and there's nothing to draw from. There's no card to draw. Or exile the top cards of your opponent's library. I guess it's possible. Oh yeah, how many exiling cards does Mill have? Oh, Mill has a force draw? Okay. So maybe they could do something. Anyway, interesting discussion. Interesting discussion. Even I learned something here. I do not get in this spot very often. Is Stony Silence worth playing in the sideboard now? Not really. I mean, and that's the problem when trying to fight against the Hammer Time deck, because the Hammer Time deck is great. It's well positioned. Because there's no Stony Silence sideboard hate for it, but like, and then from the other player's perspective, why do they even want to have artifact hate? There's just like no artifact decks out there except the Hammer Time deck, and you might as well just try to beat it with removal. So it's not really worth it. It's not really worth it, right? We're heading into a very mid-range metagame, and very Tron-like as well. What is the best board wipe in Blue Moon? Burn losing a lot to humans. Oh, you know, honestly, I think it would just still be like Anger of the Gods, but I understand it might not be that effective pending how bad the board state is at by the time that you play it. I want to say there's something else, but maybe not. If I could design a few Merfolk cards, what would they look like? Merfolk Champion of the Parish. Always. Force of Despair against Elves? Yeah, it would be good there. It'd be good there, but I don't know if it's... I mean, how big is Elves in the metagame? Marcelo asks, been thinking about artifact shenanigans. Any ideas on payoffs like gear per Ether Grid that use artifacts without dancing them? Artifact... You got to be a little bit more specific. Like, there was that other deck that, for example, used... I don't know, look up a Were Prison list to see what kind of artifacts that you like. So Were Prison is an artifact deck, but like, there's a lot of different ways of building an artifact deck. Dexter Johnson says, with the prevalence of Decklist online and some individuals simply wanting to play the best deck, how much skill do you think it is required to succeed in a format such as Modern? A lot. A lot. I'm dragging my ass on a video concept series about this, but long story short, anyone can buy the best deck. All right. Everybody has money. I don't want to say everybody has money, but basically enough people who show up to it. Anyone who shows up to a tournament basically had enough money to buy into a tier deck. Now, the mirror breaker is your skill. Not everyone has skill. So whoever plays their deck better than the other, like anyone can show up with a tier 1 deck, and tier 2 decks can also compete with tier 1 decks. So anyone can buy into a tier deck. But not everyone has the skill to win the tournament. So your skill is still going to be a giant factor in if you win. That's why so many people are like really upset. I spent $1,000 on this deck. You know, why aren't I winning? Because you suck at the game. That's why. You can't. So that, I mean, that your deck is only one form of advantage in Magic the Gathering. There are other advantages that you have to leverage. Your deck is just one of them. It's only one of many different advantages that make up your total advantage to winning a tournament. So I think skill is still super important, because there's, at any given tournament, like when I went enter GPs, there's like probably like out of 1,500 people in the Modern event, there's going to be like 100 people playing Death Shadow. But if I make, but not all of them make top 32, but I make top 32 with Merfolk, because my skill advantage outweighed their deck advantage. Well, my skill advantage made up for potential loss in deck advantage. You know, a lot of people show up with tier 1 decks. They don't all make day 2. They don't all make day 2. Simple as that. Cuddly Card. Tom Ross worked on Modern Horizons 1. He stated that an Infect Planeswalker was made but didn't make the cut. Holy fuck. What's your opinion on a Planeswalker that could pump / give poison counters? It would be a fucking disaster. That's what it would be. That'd be terrible. It's constantly... I mean, it depends how they design it. It has to be expensive, though. It has to be at least 3 mana. Isn't crime / punishment underrated? Probably not. What is this? 5 mana? Impossible. Punishment. Destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with converted mana cost X. Also impossible. That's too expensive. Modern is too hostile. It's way too fast for cards like this. It's not... If it's like 4 mana, it's got to be something insane. Just outright insane. Insanely good for 4 mana to compete in Modern. It's just how it is. And, you know, a lot of these cards, both halves are basically going to be like 5 mana or higher. Do you believe Esper or Jeskai Control has better tools overall? Well, of course, but it comes at the risk of getting Blood Mooned. Maybe less so Jeskai, but like, of course, the more colors you add, the more tools you're going to have, but it's at the risk of getting screwed because of your mana. I have a Death Shadows deck that has been reinvented. It uses Varol's Scar Stripe to abuse Death Shadow. Is this even playable? No. It's 3 mana and it's clunky. I know what this is. You'd be better off with just Unearth or something. Or hold on, each creature card in your graveyard has Scavenge. The scavenge cost is equal to its mana cost, and you can sacrifice another creature, regenerate Varol's the Scar Stripes. Like, this is just not... It just doesn't really do anything. 3 mana for a 2/2 creature. Sir Butterballs, why is Resplendent Angel so expensive? I got a couple in for paper and a few other angels and almost broke the bank. Because Commander players love angels. They love angels. That's why. There might also be some formats where this is played. I'm not sure. Yeah, like there's a lot of angels that were just expensive. They didn't see any play in Modern or Legacy, but they were just expensive because Commander players just fucking love them. They love them. Smash like if you love angels. I used to blame Modern for jacking up Commander card prices. Oh, have the times changed? Yes, that's right, Kevin. Now the card prices are highly determined by Commander. I mean, just look at Gaia's Cradle. Let's go to MTG stocks. Look at Gaia's Cradle. I want to, and that was a long time ago, and Commander's gotten a lot more popular. This just shows the power of Commander. Where is it? Where's the first Theros? Okay, here's the first Theros. So the actual value of Gaia's Cradle in Legacy was about $100, $95. And lo and behold, overnight, when they changed the legendary rule, this is, so for people who are just joining Magic right now or played for the last few years, a long time ago, if somebody put a legendary permanent on the battlefield, it replaced, like, let's say I have a Gaia's Cradle and someone else plays a Gaia's Cradle, I have to sacrifice my Gaia's Cradle. No, this is a fair comparison. This I want to show you like why the demand for it versus the demand in Legacy. This still is fair. So here, it was played in Elves for $95, but the problem is, why would you play Gaia's Cradle in Commander when someone could just play another legendary card and make you sacrifice yours? Or how did it work, actually? Was it like... and now I don't remember the old legendary rule. Did both of them nuke, or did yours just replace theirs? I think yours replaced theirs, but I don't remember. When they changed the legendary rule that both sides can have a legendary permanent, it skyrocketed to $151. just skyrocketed, just basically doubled in price. It was back then both got destroyed. Yeah, so there was no point in playing Gaia's Cradle. So basically, it just did it double? No, it didn't exactly double. It jumped up by a lot though, based on the demand now for, because it had real demand in Commander. Before it was unplayable. Like you play Gaia's Cradle, your opponent plays a Gaia's Cradle, it just dies. I'm not looking at like what's recent. I'm going back straight to Theros when the rule change for legendary cards changed. This rule changed many times throughout Magic's history, which is why I don't really remember it. The last time the legendary rule change was back in 2013. Oh my god, that was 8 years ago. I feel like such a fucking boomer. So it was a it was a removal spell back then. There was a time where you could play a legendary permanent, and then if you did, no one else could play that legendary permanent. Then I think if you play, I don't remember. I want to say there was a time that you could play one and just killed your opponents, and you had the one yours stayed, and then they both nuked each other. So back then it was a removal spell. Yeah, the old days of Geist to play an enemy Geist, or playing Phantasmal Image to kill your opponent's legendary creature. But the point is, this card was unplayable in Commander. Unplayable because of the Legend rule. Legend rule changes. Oh, we all want a Gaia's Cradle. Boom. It spikes in price. Commander has a massive influence over card prices. Massive influence. What do you think of Bloodchief's Thirst? It's a great card, Colin. It's pretty much a staple now in Modern. Pretty much a staple. All right, everyone. Reserve list can't be reprinted, but you could say the same about a lot of different cards that Commander players don't give a crap about. Okay, so you know what time it is, everyone. It's time for deck list review. So !review deck space, give the URL to your... Oh, no, sorry. Remember, go in my description. There is a link to my Discord. I forgot. We got to do the steps properly. There's a link to my Discord. Join my Discord, and then go to the channel deck list review. Now there, use the command !review deck space, give the URL to your deck list if you want to be eligible at random. You're chosen at random on this channel for deck list review. So, and as everyone starts putting in all their deck lists, submitting them, we are going to thank our sponsors, starting with FusionGamingOnline.com, favorite local game store. Time Spiral Remastered. If you want to pre-order sealed boosters, sealed boxes, singles, you can find that all at FusionGamingOnline.com. What is the deal of the week this week? Save 15% off old Time Spiral and Time Shifted singles. So all the older cards, they're on sale. Go get them at FusionGamingOnline.com. Don't forget, use my coupon code Nikachu. Whoops, that's the wrong coupon code. Get 5% off at discount. Use coupon code Nikachu at FusionGamingOnline.com. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Be able to play any format with any deck anytime. Also, your special brews that you create here on Coffee and MTG. You can support the channel using my coupon code Nikachu. Get 15% off your first 3 months. All right, so whoops, let me get the banner back. Boop. Now let's look at some deck lists. Vanquished. Rakdos midrange. Is it really Rakdos? This is not right. It's got a fucking Tarmogoyf in here. Let me show you all. Okay. And we're on the very interesting site, Archidect Beta. I don't mind it at all. It's pretty, I think it's actually pretty cool. 19 lands, so it looks like almost like a shadow list. In fact, it is a shadow list. Why is it called Rakdos then? Okay, 2 Dismember, 2 Fatal Push, 1 Kolaghan's Command. Okay, so we'll start from the bottom. 2 Teamer Battle Rage. Always important, by the way. Without Teamer Battle Rage, this deck's unplayable. Just absolutely unplayable. Because otherwise, you can't even get through tokens with Death Shadow, so you need a way of pushing through damage. 4 Lightning Bolt, 1 Kolaghan's Command, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Dismember, 3 Thoughtseize. That is an interesting choice. Because do you really need to keep your life total up? I figure with a Death Shadow deck, you still want to... still want as many ways to reduce your life total as much as possible. But I'm not going to really nitpick it. 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Inquisition, 1 Dreadbore, 2 Bloodchief's Thirst. Yeah, destroying Planeswalkers are fine. There's a lot of control decks still out there, even though they're not in the top of the metagame. Seasoned Pyromancer, Magmatic Chandler, 3 Crockset. That's interesting. So this is less Death Shadow. It's actually a little bit more mid-rangey, right? Sideboard, 2 Soul Guide Lantern, 2 Pithing Needle, 2 Leyline of the Void, 1 Guttural Response for counter target blue instant spell. I don't know if that's necessary. What is this for, Vanquished? You're welcome, Hoax. Thank you very much, Emiliano. So what is the Guttural Response for? Like, maybe you want another Fulminator Mage, if you decide to have one in here at all. We have 1 Dragon's Claw, which is totally fine. 1 Collective Brutality, 3 Blood Moon. I like that you got the Blood Moon in the sideboard. Not so well positioned in the main deck anymore. Still a powerful card, of course, for the matchups that you want it, but you have them in the sideboard. You might actually prefer, instead of Fulminator Mage, maybe Cleansing Wildfire. If you got 3 Blood Moon, I mean, because this is your mana disruption, right? So maybe you don't need any more. Like, how much would it suck? You're up against Tron, and you have a hand of like 2 Blood Moon and a Fulminator Mage. Like, it's just a bad curve, right? It's just a bad curve. So Guttural Response is just for Cryptic Command. I would just play like 4 Thoughtseize, 2 Inquisition if I really wanted to deal with that. But maybe you want 3 Thoughtseize because you're like a little bit more mid-rangey. You got to keep your life total a little bit higher. So I would replace maybe the Fulminator Mage with Cleansing Wildfire. Maybe even do the same thing with Collective Brutality if you really want to eat up some of those, like those Tronish decks. Or the Guttural Response. You could, I mean, being there's no real Cryptic lock these days, right? Veil of Summer does not protect against Cryptic Command. Veil of Summer, it's not literally Cryptic Command because the Cryptic Command's tap your creatures down mode is, well, we're talking about getting the tapped down, I'm assuming. Otherwise, yeah, you could use Veil of Summer to protect against counterspells, but counterspells are probably not the problem. The problem is your creatures getting tapped down, and Cryptic Command says all opponents tap all creatures your opponents control, so it doesn't actually target anything. Add Lurrus as a companion. We cannot, because we're playing with 2 Seasoned Pyromancers in the main deck. This deck will not use Lurrus. But really, good point. I mean, you should highly think about playing Lurrus over Seasoned Pyromancer. This is a great card, though. This is a great card, so. Wrenn and 6 equals Cryptic Lock. Oh, well, if it ultimates. How about Damping Spheres? Damping Sphere is good if you have a super fast clock. I don't know if this deck has a super fast clock. It's pretty fast. It's like it's a little bit more on the mid-range side. It's not bad. We were splashing green only for Tarmogoyf, it seems. That's correct. Pretty light on ways to turn on Scourge early. We have 4 Lightning Bolts, but I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. It's a pretty good point, actually. A lot of the Scourge decks are playing with some sort of 1-drop. But hold on. Yeah, and even Jund Shadow is playing with like Swift Spear. That's a good point, actually. Maybe the Seasoned Pyro. If you want to play with Scourge of the Skyclaves, you need to be playing with Seasoned Pyromancer. Sorry, you need to be playing with Monastery Swift Spear instead of maybe Seasoned Pyromancer. You could put Lurrus on the board. This is a really good point. The decks that are really making Scourge of the Skyclaves work, they're only working because they've got like some way of dealing damage very early. Like the Grixis Shadow list that had Scourge of the Skyclaves and it had Delver of Secrets for turn 1. Its main sole purpose was deal a damage by turn 1 to turn on Scourge of the Skyclaves. I mean, that's actually not a bad plan. You know, we could drop the green, just go Rakdos, pure Rakdos, and you dump Tarmogoyf for 4 Swift Spears. And then now you'll definitely turn Scourge on. So I think that's a very reasonable change. Sometimes when I see Tarmogoyf here, I'm like, do you own 4 Tarmogoyf and you just want to use it somewhere? It's not I mean, it's not a bad card in Jund, but like sometimes I see it like that. No, call it. This is a common mistake. Lurrus only looks at permanents, not spells. So you can play Cryptic Command in a Lurrus list if you want. And it happens. How long till Tarmogoyf becomes irrelevant? Probably a very long time. Tarmogoyf is still like really good for 2 mana. Even right now, they've printed so many good 2-drops for 2 mana. Like there are a lot of Tarmogoyf replacements, but Tarmogoyf is still Tarmogoyf. What can I say? Still Tarmogoyf. So I think that might be actually a really important suggestion. Dump 4 Tarmogoyf for 4 Swift Spear. Turn your Scourge of the Skyclaves on. Or maybe drop Scourge of the Skyclaves for something else. But I think Scourge is totally fine. It's a very good, strong card. And instead of having like 3 Blood Moon, 1 Fulminator Mage, maybe diversify a little bit with some Cleansing Wildfires. And that's about it. Hope that's some useful. And maybe consider how useful your Seasoned Pyromancers are. And if they are not that useful, play Lurrus on the sideboard, because that is certainly a very good card. Lightning Scale Elemental, a little fancy in my opinion. A little fancy. There are decks that make it work, but it's still a little fancy. All right. I hope that's some useful feedback. Good luck with it. Checks. Esper Echoes. Page not found. Oh no, Chad. I can't see it. Sorry about that. Make sure your page is public and legal. We're going to move on. Sorry, it was Chax, not Chad. Mr. Smith. After fighting Neo for years, Mr. Smith decided to play sell down and play some Magic the Gathering. Radhat, Blood Rush, Pump, Gruul for Modern. Okay. For foil, Burning Tree Emissary. Old foil. Like, this is funny. This deck specified that these cards are foil. I love it. Elvish Mystic. Gore Clan Rampager. Grand Warlord Radha. Haste. Whenever one or more creatures you control attacks, add that much mana in any combination of red or green until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps, ends, and phases. Interesting. Gruul Spellbreaker. There's got to be some way to, like, greatly improve this deck for Modern. Llanowar Elves, Radha, Heir to Keld, Scavenging Ooze, Slaughterhorn, Zerta, Swine. Okay, we gotta, like, improve this deck. Because this is just playing with a bunch of random... Well, first, I mean, you should really look into the red-green Ponza deck if you want to play, like, a powerful red-green deck. Now, that being said, we can make this work. So, before Burning Tree Emissary, I don't know if Burning Tree Emissary is good in this deck, because we can give you a lot of really good turn 2 plays for 3 mana, but Burning Tree Emissary is just really awkward. It's only good at playing other Burning Tree Emissaries for the most part, because your curve is pretty high, except maybe Radha and Scavenging Ooze. Like, Burning Tree doesn't have good well, I guess Burning Tree is free still, right? Yeah, we can play Bloodbraid Elf. Okay, so first off, let's improve your mana base. Let's replace Elvish Mystic and Llanowar Elves with 4 Arbor Elf. This is just the stock mana base for Modern these days. 4 Arbor Elf and 4 Utopia Sprawl. Or you can play 3 Utopias because you only have 7 mana dorks. And Utopia Sprawl basically acts as a mana dork, but it can't be killed by removal. Yeah, I don't know how budget or not this is, but so we can improve we've improved the creatures. Burning Tree's whatever. I mean, this is debatably a modern playable card. Gorklan, I like Gorklan Rampager. I mean, it's a randomly decent top deck, and you can... I mean, this is the classic Temur Battle Rage before Temur Battle Rage came out, actually. So this was a modern playable card. Red-green pathway is fine, but I don't think mana base is too hard. I mean, yeah, let's dump the Karplus and Forest. This is like one of the crappier dual lands. Dark creature gets... You could have Kessick Wolfrun, by the way. I think that's something you would probably want. I don't know if you've ever heard of this land. So, green, red, tap, X. Target creature gets +X/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. I think that's something I think that's a card you would like. Go make a zoo list. No, well, they seem to be like they want to go up on the curve. They want to go big. They want to go big or go home. Okay, so Grand Warlord Raha. You could probably have 3 of these, even though it's legendary. Gruul Spellbreaker. There's got to be something better than Gruul Spellbreaker. What's at 4 mana? So instead of target attacking creature gets plus... I don't like this card. Okay, we can play some Bloodbraid Elves instead of this. The problem with something like this is you don't want to have too many Blood Rush cards. Now, I don't mind Gorklan Rampager because it costs 1 less. 4 mana is pretty reasonable to get on the battlefield. And it has trample, right? But just a random 5/4 creature for 5 mana I don't think is as exciting in Modern at all. Ed Dog, thank you very much. I am fantastic. So some number of these, like Slaughterhorn again. The whole Blood Rush thing is not... It's very dangerous. It's like super dangerous. I think this deck wants to go a little bit more chunkier than Huntmaster of the Fells, although that is a good card. Maybe there's just some way we can use the mana. I mean, what is the god? What's the red-green god? I can't remember. I like Glorybringer, actually. I think Glorybringer is great. Maybe we could have Glorybringer in this slot. Blood Rush is just like so... It's really high risk, high reward. But in Modern, there's just so much removal. There's so much removal. No, there's a 5-mana god. Colossus is a god, but there's a Xenagos. That's actually the one I was thinking about. Because you have a lot of mana, right? Indestructible as long as your devotion to red and blah, blah, blah. At the beginning of combat, on each of your turns, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. I feel like this is a card... I think this is the type of effect you're looking for, right? Where you're just trying to pump up your creatures. And you might have a bunch of... Because of Radha... And also... Radha and... What's her name? And Grand Warlord Radha. So both Radhas. You're going to have extra mana available. Maybe you can cast Xenagos. Bit of an awkward card for Modern, but more reliable for what you want to do. And it turns all your creatures... Gives haste to all your creatures, no matter what you play. But also the whole... this is not a bad idea either to add Colossus into the deck. I don't think that's bad at all. Sunder Shaman is good. Can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. It's pretty good. Whenever Sunder Shaman deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact or enchantment that player controls. That's actually not too bad. That's not too bad. I can't remember. What was Questing Beast? Questing Beast is like similar mana, also hard to get blocked. Can't remember what Questing Beast did. Oh, it had so many of these things. This doesn't have haste. I think Questing Beast is just a better card now that I compare these two. It's just harder to block. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste, combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. And whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planes or... Like, this is a pretty fucking beast of a card. That's why it's called the Questing Beast. You know what? Nissa is not that bad either. You know, if we're going to go big, like, maybe we just have a few... So we have this 5-mana Abomination. Maybe we have some... Like, the problem with Nissa, with the 5-mana Nissa, where are you? Nissa shakes the world. This is a really strong card. It just doesn't see much play in Modern because at 5 mana, like, shouldn't you be winning the game? But this is, like, debatably, like, one of the best. This is one of the better Planeswalkers out there. Like, in Historic, this just fucking buries you. In Standard, this buries you. It's such an this was an outrageous card in, like, every format that you could play. If you it turns your lands into fucking big creatures permanently. And makes, like, doubles your mana. Doesn't this fold hard to Wrath? Yes, it does. Steel Leaf Champion is also a good card. I mean, honestly, if I were to design this card to be like more beatdown, I would scrap the 2 drops and just depend on the 1 mana spells emptying into 3 mana spells. So I'd have, like, less Radhas, less Burning Tree Emissaries, and then yeah, I could play something like Steel Leaf Champion. But what I would recommend, let's look at, maybe we can fix the mana base a little bit. These are dangerous. I see that there might be a problem with me suggesting Utopia Sprawl because you need more forests in the deck. Like, you need, like, at least, I would say, 14 forests. So maybe my recommendation doesn't work so well. So maybe you just have to play with the mana dorks as you do right now. Ideally, you play with well, you can no, you still can't play with Utopia Sprawl because it needs to enchant a forest, and you don't have any forests to enchant to. I'm assuming this is a little bit on a budget. How much is Nissa? Oh, Nissa's really expensive. 7 mana. How much is Xenagos? How much are these cards? We're obviously on a budget here. Xenagos is expensive. Fuck. How much is Steel Leaf Champion? Not that expensive. Not too bad. I also like this card. Well, how about this? Okay, before... You know, maybe we can turn this around a little bit. Maybe we turn this deck into a deck where the creatures are more evasive, and you could, in theory, still Blood Rush them. I still think Blood Rush is still, like, a little bit silly, but maybe if we fill the deck with, like, Steel Leaf Champions and... How much was Questing Beast? God damn, you are expensive. Okay, Sundering Shaman. We found our budget replacement. Sundering Shaman was good. How did I doubt this card? Oh, sorry, Sunder Shaman. All right, we're gonna work with this one then. So maybe to facilitate this Blood Rush nonsense, we play with, like, Team Battle Rage? No, I think we can live without that. So we're gonna play with, like, maybe 4 copies of Sunder Shaman, 4 copies of Steel Leaf Champion, and then the idea is you create, like, creatures that are not very good at getting blocked, and then maybe you can Blood Rush them to death if you want to. I think that might be the... And then to replacement, you should find the pathway lands to replace some of these lands, at least the Carplazan Forest. Commune with Nature. Instead of Lead the Stampede, just get Bloodbraid Elf. Bloodbraid Elf is not too expensive, and I think it's way better than Lead the Stampede. Lead the Stampede is 3 mana, look for creatures but do nothing. A Bloodbraid Elf is 3 mana, put another creature on the battlefield and do something. Domri Raid is actually really good. I think this is one of the most underrated Planeswalkers, period. Like, this is one of the most underrated Planeswalkers in Modern that doesn't have a home. This is like Oko before Oko. This is like, I don't know, Oko or what's it called? Like, this is 3 mana busted Planeswalkers before 3 mana busted Planeswalkers existed. The only problem with Domri Raid is that both abilities are a bit situational, and that's the only thing that holds it back. But if you're playing with stuff like Steel Leaf Champion, like -2, target creature you control fights another target creature, that is just, like, pure removal a giant chunk of the time. And the +1 is actually also gas. And the +1 gets better if you have more creatures in the deck instead of Lead the Stampede. So if we have, like, Bloodbraid Elf instead of Lead the Stampede, your deck would go way further on something like Domri Raid. This is fine. I don't mind having Lightning Bolt available as a spell. Sideboard, Tarkus Command is fine. Destructive Revelry is fine. Reclamation Stage is fine. Sundering... Oh, you have Sunder Shaman. Load the deck up with 4. Teamer Battle Rage. Oh, you also have Teamer Battle Rage. Well, if you have a deck full of these creatures that are hard to block, I don't know if this is as necessary. I think you should have better... I think you actually should just have better cards in your sideboard, like Damping Sphere, for example, to slow down Tron and Titan decks. Whisperwood Elemental, I don't think is actually worth it. Wild Beastmaster. Whenever Wild Beastmaster attacks, each other creature you control gets plus... This is just a trash card. This is not modern playable. Maybe... What are some really good... 4 Veil of Summer? It might be expensive, though. Okay, what are some good, cheap, affordable... Yeah, it's $11. What are some good, affordable sideboard cards for red-green that we can think up? I mean, maybe for Grindy Master, we can play Hunt Master. I swear Hunt Master costs money, though. Yeah, it costs... it's like $6. It's a bit pricey, though. I know the minds of the budget players. They want to spend money. Is Choke and Boil cheap? Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry. This is... it's close. $3 from Tempest, which is interesting. 8th edition is worth more. What the hell? Boil. Well, Autumn's Veil doesn't get, like, much value. That's a problem. Boil is also a little bit of money. These are not the cheapest sideboard cards. Nature's Claim is a fine one. You might need some artifact like enchantment or artifact destruction. If your opponent plays like Ensnaring Bridge, you probably can't even beat that. This is fine. Oh, did they have Destructive Revelry? I think they have it already. So maybe we don't need Nature's Claim. Oh, Blossoming Defense actually is a good one. So this is like Veil of Summer, sort of, but for your creatures. That's actually not a bad idea. I like that one. So you can play, and it's cheap. It's like 50 cents. Maybe some Heroic Interventions. I'm not a fan of this one. You might be beat by a Cryptic Lock more than you are beaten by your opponent sweeping the board. But you know, it's... Oh no, this is not reasonable. This is like a lame... Look how expensive this card is, and it's been reprinted a million times in promos. This actually goes to show... Like, ponies fucking love this card. Like, oh, our creatures are going to be able to defend. And maybe it's good in Commander. Maybe it's, like, really, really good in Commander because it gives hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So maybe it's like maybe it's a Commander All-Star, but it's like a really clunky, poor card in Modern. And it's expensive. Shaper's Sanctuary. I like that one. I like that one. Why do I have to work? I just let you guys work. Pretty affordable too. $2 or $1 from Ixalan. I don't know how reliable these prices are. I find that they don't match up very well when I go to a website like TCG Player, but very effective against removal heavy decks. You go turn 1 Shaper's Sanctuary, you're going to be in good shape. Because your deck is... The fuck's a pony? So basically a casual player. That's how I name casual players. They're not serious. Imagine a racetrack where there are stallions trying to win the race, but then the pony's just fucking dancing around doing its own thing, not actually doing shit. Laying around in like the racetrack. That's what a pony is. And that's how you can compare certain Magic players to the competitive Magic players. The difference. You can see it. Oh, that's not a bad idea, too. Sorceress Spyglass. You know, these are playable. Because we've got a lot of dead cards in the sideboard here. And it's 50 cents, so, I mean, this is a very reasonable card. Grafdigger's Cage might not be bad either. You know, that's a good one. We don't have any... I don't think, actually, we had any graveyard hate. Oh god, we have an explanation here. Okay, with this deck, you should be aiming to kill around turn 4 to 5. That is too slow for Modern. We got to do better than that. We got to be killing turns 3 to 4. I mean, 4 and 5, I guess, is reasonable. Turn 1, play a forest. You play either Mystic or Llanowar Elf. If you do not have either in your hand, you should mull. Then you should have 4 of them. You should have 8 of these in your deck if your deck depends on them. You shouldn't have 7. 7 is too low. Way too low. Some decks have 10, by the way. It's not unreasonable to have that. If Mana Dork depends, if your deck depends so much on a Mana Dork, you should have more of them. But it would make a big difference if you could afford Stomping Grounds and enough forests to play Utopia Sprawl. If you had 14 forests in your deck, you could play Utopia Sprawl. And that would help a lot because they can't kill your Mana Dork. Turn 2, play any land, play Burning Tree, then have the choice of pumping your Mana Dork with Gorklan Rampager. Like, these aren't... Your Mana Dork is probably dead most of the time, is the problem with this deck in Modern. Turn 3, play a land. Should be a mountain by now. You typically want to play a Grand Lord Raha here, and if you do not have her, use Lead the Stampede or Commune. Like, there's a lot of games where you're going to play Commune. Or sorry, no, Lead the Stampede, and then you just die next turn. That's why I prefer to have Bloodbraid Elf here, where you have Bloodbraid Elf get a body, and you can put some defense against the people that are trying to race you. Turn 4, play land. You can cast Raha using the land, and then swing out with all your creatures. Use the mana from Raha. So, anyway, I hope, like, the problem is this plan does not work in Modern. There's just too much removal. You need to have more resistant creatures, and I hope I honestly, I don't mind this big fucking 5/5 creature. Like, that's not bad. That competes with a lot of big creatures in Modern. It's not bad at all. Super late, but maybe Rancor? I'm not in love with it because you have to play it at sorcery speed, basically, if you want to get its effect. Or I guess you could play it post-combat after your opponent uses removal on something, but it's a bit awkward. Why don't you just play Stompy? Well, basically, we are... I think it is a Stompy list. Why use Pony when the word Timmy has been around for ages? Because Pony is better. And ponies can be found in competitive events. Well, we have to make sure. Honestly, I mean, I'm guessing the deck, like, no deck like this can win consistently by turn 4 and 5. You're gonna slug through a bunch of removal. War Domri. Okay, hold on. I'm getting like Domri, like the other Domri. Oh no, it's 3 mana. I guess creatures control get +1/+0. Not bad. Add mana. Not bad. And they can't be countered. Target creature you control fights another target creature you don't control. Yeah, maybe this is better than the original one. Like, the OG one is good card advantage. Target creature you control fights, but we still have the same ability here. Like, they both have the -2 at 3 loyalty. And the ultimate on this thing is useless. Okay, you know what? I could buy that. Maybe this one's better. Maybe we could use the mana more than card advantage. If Timmy refers more to buying stuff, then that has nothing to do with my definition of Pony. Pony strictly is a gameplay and attitude sort of definition. Well, technically, the other Domri would also be good against control. So maybe, but this, I like this +1/+0. I like it a lot, and it can add more mana. Maybe it's more worthwhile. I don't mind. Yeah, the free sort of Lord effect is good. Anyway, well, that's a lot of feedback. I hope you could do something with it. Deck has to, like, you're using a lot of stuff from, like, standard and historic when you got to start using some more modern cards. More modern heavy cards. You're just utilizing a lot of the cards from, like, basically the last, I don't know, 2 to 3-ish years, when there's, like, some really heavy hitting cards you have access to. So hopefully we gave you some ideas. Let that simmer in your mind, and good luck with it. Hope that is some useful feedback. But that's going to be it for Coffee and MTG for today. Thank you very much for joining me. If you want to see the replay, you can always find them at Nikachu MTG Streams. That is my alternate YouTube channel where I dump all my VODs. If I didn't get to your comments, questions, or deck list, don't worry. We do this Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a patron at patreon.com/NikachuMTG. You can also subscribe on Twitch, twitch.tv /NikachuMTG, or join on YouTube. There's a join button. That also exists there. But again, thank you very much for showing up, becoming part of that conversation, because without all of you, this show is nothing. The whole show exists because of you. So if you didn't show up to be part of the conversation, there would be nothing to talk about. So thank you very much for making me part of your daily routine. So as usual, keep brewing up that coffee, and we'll keep brewing up magic. I'll see you guys next time.